Hi class, I hope that you're doing well and that you had a restful weekend. So today we're going to be starting task 4 in our in the final task of our cultural differences in design unit. You're still going to be working in the template that I gave to you last week, this template here. You'll still be working in that. But today we're just going to start our work on the last part. So if we look at our design journal, you should have already finished last week your work on your work on analyzing the two temples from the two different cultures. So you should have completed these tables, filled them in with your observations and your research, and your conclusions about the temples that were based on your research. And so you should have finished those. And now you're going to be working on presenting the main findings of your research. So using the same sources that you used to analyze your temples, the same sources which you can find here in this document. By using those same sources, you're going to complete and answer these questions in your design journal here for task 4. So you'll use these sources. You will use only the sources for the cultures that you chose. So if you chose the Mayan and the ancient Greek cultures, you don't need to look into the other ones. Just stay focused on your own topics. And you will use them to help you answer these questions here. So for each of these 4 main sections, you should try to write about 1 strong paragraph. And when I say strong paragraph, I mean between 5 and 8 sentences. You should practice presenting research and presenting ideas, summarizing what you've learned, and trying to insert your own critical thinking. Here's where you're going to be really practicing your writing skills, practicing your communication skills, your critical thinking skills, and showing me how much you've learned about these cultures. You're going to compare and contrast the locations and the time of the cultures. You can add in any interesting historical facts about them or things that make them unique and special here. You'll compare and contrast the materials and resources that were used for the 2 temples. So think about the materials that were used. Were they unique or special, important to the cultures? And also give any information on how they were built. So were there specific materials used for culture A that culture B didn't use? Did they use similar materials? Did they have similar building structures? Did they have similar practices in building them? Whatever you learned, you're just going to compare and contrast those different things for the 2 temples. Then you're going to compare the function of the buildings, how they were used. So think about who or what was worshipped in those places, who was allowed to use the temples, go inside them, who were the people that went inside them. You can also compare where they were situated, the different roles that they played in society, those types of things. We'll compare the function of these buildings, how they worked and how they were used. And then finally, as a conclusion, think about how the 2 temples relate to one another. You should be considering our statement of inquiry and maybe our global context for the unit as you do these things. Consider how the similarities that you can see between the cultures, or how they're similar or how they're different. Try to identify maybe connections or things that don't link up. Look for big points that you can that summarize your thoughts about the unit, with how these cultures relate to one another, maybe how they don't relate to each other, how maybe they use materials, or how their temples functioned. Just summarize all you've learned into a big idea. Draw conclusions about how these temples and these cultures relate to one another. Then in the end, you're going to create a works cited page in MLA format. I've added this doc here to give you a reminder about MLA citations and how to form them. They've got a couple of, at the bottom of the first page, they've got a couple of links to how you can make good citations, a couple of those citation generators. Remember to put in the citations here all of the sources that you used. So if you looked at every source, cite every source. If you only looked at a few, cite the few that you used, okay? And so you'll do that here. So today you're going to start working on this task 4, which is summarizing your research, presenting it, and comparing and contrasting the 2 cultures. And you're going to make your works cited page. you will submit evidence that you've made progress on this task using this document here called Evidence of Starting Task 4. Just like last time, you'll insert a screenshot of your work or copy and paste it in here so that you don't lose access to your design journal, and then you'll turn that in, and that'll be your assignment for the day. Just so you're aware, you don't have to finish all of task 4 today, but you must show me evidence that you've at least started it. If you do finish today, great. Because on Wednesday, this Wednesday, our formative assessment is due. This Wednesday, a formative assessment is due on ManageBack, so that is Wednesday the 13th. Then I'll give you feedback on that. Remember, Thursday and Friday, you're going to be working on your services action, so we won't have class on Friday. But our summative assessment will be due on Monday the 18th. So if you need to make any edits, I'll let you know after you turn in your formative assessment, and you can use next Monday to finish that and submit your summative assessment if you need to make any changes. But I'm hoping that you've all worked really hard, that you won't have to make so many changes, and that you can just submit your summative assessments. If you have any questions about today's assignment, you can email me or comment on this post. On Wednesday, I'll be on our Google Meet. So Wednesday is the day that your formative assessment is due. So Wednesday, if you have any final questions about the formative assessment, about task 3 and 4, you can log on, and I'll be able to talk to you on the Google Meet to answer any questions that you have or to help you. Good luck with this. I can't wait to see what you guys do, and I will talk to you on Wednesday. Bye, guys.